Welcome, everybody. My name is Sean Merkley. I am a partner manager at Fishbowl, and I work directly with ConverSight.ai. Super excited about this partnership. It's been a long time coming. We've been working together on this partnership for a long time, and to officially get it off the ground and in front of customers is super exciting. They bring a lot of value to the table, and we'll get to that. We have Nick Campbell on the call, who is with MAVPAK. I know they go by another name as well, but MAVPAK originally they were our Fishbowl customers, and they were introduced to ConverSight.ai, and it was a game changer. And I won't steal any thunder from Nick. He's going to go into that. But we're super excited about how this tool will change your business as far as reporting, insights, proactive insights, just the amount of data that you can take out of Fishbowl and turn it into actionable insights. I think it's going to be huge, especially for some of the customers on this call that are bigger companies using Fishbowl, and they have a lot more, data needs. I think this is an awesome tool. So I don't want to take too much time. So I'm going to kick it over to Jordan to kind of introduce himself and ConverSight as a whole. So thanks, Jordan.
Thank you, Sean. My name's Jordan Howard. As everyone's saying their location, I'm based right in smack dead in the Midwest in Chicago, Illinois. As Sean mentioned, this has been a long journey working with Fishbowl. It started with Nick at MAVPAK, and been working with him. He's been an integral part of our integration. He's shown us ways to pivot to utilize and integrate this the best way possible for his workflow. ConverSight.ai as an organization, as the name states, is leveraging the power of AI to allow you to have conversational interactions with our smart assistant, Athena, to get actionable insights, to start to make decisions based on the data that you've been aggregating over time. As a whole, our company's sole core domain space is in the supply chain space. That is our expertise. That is how we've groomed and trained our adaptive learner, Athena, to help in the space. As you can see from some of our logos, we do work in the enterprise space with some of the larger companies like Cargill, but our passion and where we have made the most impact is in small to medium-sized businesses, particularly in those size businesses that are using systems like Fishbowl, and partnering closely with Sean and his team to enrich the experience that you have within your system to start to get those type of technologies and insights that may not come from some of the larger enterprise companies, and sort of leveling the playing field by giving you this assistant, Athena, to make those quick insights and get some rich custom reporting through AI. As you'll see here, MAVPAK is also on this list. They were our first Fishbowl customer. And with that, I'd like to introduce Nick. He was the VP of Operations over at MAVPAK. In 2018, he joined Fishbowl and then quickly connected with Ganesh, our CEO, who's also on the call. And Nick, if you just want to give us a little background of MAVPAK and what they do, maybe a little bit of your guys' growth trajectory and how you have seen the integration at a high level with Fishbowl and ConverSight.
Sure. Thank you, Jordan. Well, good afternoon to everybody. Kind of as the slide on the screen shows, we've had rapid growth. But first, I'll explain. We're a packaging distribution company, and we supply to, I think we have 184 different customers across the nation. I believe we have around 87 suppliers. Ironically, as our revenue has grown, the supply base has not. Obviously, the customer base has. But we run like I mentioned, a distribution company where we place POs, receive in product, drop ship to customers from vendors, and ship from our warehouse to customers as well. When I started with the company in 2017, and we had about $3 million worth of revenue. as you see on the screen, last year in 2020, we ended the year at about $21 million in revenue. So just insane rapid growth. And we adapted the Fishbowl in 2018, January of 2018. And I first met Ganesh and ConverSight in August of 2018. And they did an amazing job giving me access to data at my fingertips to be able to help run analytics, to see what was going on with our business, to prepare ourselves for this crazy growth. So I mean this when I say this. I don't think that we could have sustained the growth and the rate of growth without ConverSight, without the ConverSight team and Athena being part of our virtual team. So it's an amazing relationship and an amazing tool that takes a great Fishbowl system and just supercharges it.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. What I'd like to do now is talk a little bit about how we do it, and then through the eyes of Nick, some of our core competencies that Athena has. Sorry about that. Walk through a day in the life of Athena and have Nick share a little bit about how each module that we've created can help. Logistically, one quick thing I wanted to note. We'll pause for questions throughout if you do have a burning question, and we won't make you wait till the end to answer. So if you want to put it in the chat, we do have a team on that could quickly answer, and I'll pause for them to read out some questions as we go through this. So as I mentioned, Athena is our smart employee, and we're leveraging Athena to connect to your data. And what we do there is connect to not only your Fishbowl data, primarily your Fishbowl data, but if you started to build custom reports, if you started to do forecasting outside in Excel, we're going to leverage what you've already done and integrate those into our system with all of your Fishbowl data. As the smart assistant goes, learning some of those procedures you have in place or Excels you've already done, Athena is going to start to learn some of those key metrics. Once we've integrated that data, start to segment out your business a little bit, understanding product versus item versus some of your key sales points, and start to really understand the flow of your business. And through that is going to be able to start generating some key insights. And as you continue to grow and adaptively train Athena to become smarter with our patented technology, Athena can start to automate a lot of your business, whether that's through forecast inventory levels or starting to give you recommendations and place orders directly. And all of this is delivered to you through either the mobile or through web browser based. All of this can be done with our strong partnership with Fishbowl. Athena can be up and running and trained within 2 to 4 weeks to start giving you some real tangible value and insights. And we can talk about a little bit more of that here later in the webinar. So what I'd like to do now is we've onboarded Athena. Let's fast forward. We've already integrated with your Fishbowl and walk you through a day with Athena through the eyes of Nick. And what we want to start with is when you wake up with Athena, you're going to start to get these need to know insights. So things within your business, anomalies, or things that you want to be tracking on a daily basis, and subscribe to what's important to you. Somebody in the warehouse might be monitoring inventory. Somebody in financial might be monitoring sales orders, and start to get some of these need to know insights right away. What I'm going to do is go out to my cell phone real quickly, share with you how we can take a look at that.
There are 23 sales orders with high priority, 10 for this month. We are holding 857.78K inventory in main group. This is above the threshold of 700,000. There are 11 sales order with negative margin for this month.
So as you can see, these metrics span across all your different business.
Is reducing fast in the last 3 months.
These are seen throughout all your different businesses. You can subscribe to them like news that you would in the morning. And I'll kick it over to Nick real quick, and just if you can give us a brief background on how you're utilizing some of these proactive insights today for your business.
Sure. From my perspective, the proactive insight, it's the way I start my day, as opposed to coming in and digging through emailed reports or pulling up and running multiple reports to see the status of key elements, key indicators in our business. The proactive insights, I have the ability to specify the proactive insights that I want to see. And it's just an instant summary, perfect description there on the screen, just an instant summary of key elements that tell me how the business is performing, and not just how the business is performing. It allows me to set parameters within the business to warn me as I'm getting close to key inventory levels, to alert me if there's delinquent sales orders, delinquent purchase orders. It integrates into our finance system, so I can see things on our finance side. It's just an amazing tool that is instantly at my fingertips, requires me to do nothing other than simply log in. And as you mentioned, Jordan, over time, off the queries that I create, Athena will learn what's important to me and make recommendations for additional insights that I want to add to the insight group. So I still don't know how you guys do that piece of it, but it is pretty amazing. And I often say if somebody can use Google, you can use ConverSight.ai, and Athena it truly is like having an additional team member that is constantly putting information in front of me to make sure I'm kept up to speed on what's going on in our business. It's just truly amazing.
Awesome. And as I pulled up here, it's also available in the desktop on a web browser. You'll get these same alerts once we've come into the office if we don't want to be on the mobile. And as Nick mentioned, all these key metrics that give us those instant insights into some key things that we want to be looking at. The second piece I want to show in regards to Athena, as once we've tackled those tasks and taken a look at some of those key alerts, is taking a big picture approach to our supply chain. Now, Nick, I don't believe that at this point you guys leverage this, but I just wanted to give everybody this sample into a mapping that is more of a storyboard. So if you want to read this sort of as a storyboard, you'll start to see where your vendors and your spend is happening. Then within your builds, Athena will start to monitor when you need to reorder things. Then we can go into taking a view into our inventory, all the way into, as Nick mentioned, we can connect to your financials and start to understand some of that sales growth. I'm going to go out real quick and just show you a little bit of some of the dashboards we can create from these control towers. So when we want to look a little bit deeper into inventory or sales, we can start to build out these dashboards. And all of these dashboards can tell a different story, and they can be completely customized to what you want to be looking at. We want to be looking more at a sales summary by revenue. We can start to build out these reports. Or if I'm in the sales department and I want to be comparing this to my sales goals versus my actual goals, I can start to create these reports and dashboards that I look at every day. Athena is going to start to know, hey, you're looking at these every single day. Why don't we create this dashboard so that I can get this view and dig into these dashboards whenever I need to. Then Athena is going to start to learn a little bit more about your historical data and start to track trends of the last sales dates of your particular customers, and start to give you insights into if a customer is typically ordering large quantities, maybe at mid-year and end of year, will give you an opportunity to anticipate that next order so that your stock is accurate for that upcoming order. Or if you know that 3 months from now, you could anticipate based on the historical purchasing that it's likely going to come, you can have a sales rep send a little reminder to them, make sure that that's an anticipated sale, potentially look to upsell and see if there's anything else they might need in the coming months. Similarly, if you have customers that have done business with you and you start to see an erosion, Athena is going to monitor those erosions so that a customer doesn't slowly become a non-customer and start to let you know, they haven't placed an order in the last 3 months. Perhaps it's time we follow up with them and see what's going on, see if there's some value adds we can give to get them back on track and ordering with us. If you want to be monitoring it more from an inventory standpoint, Athena will start to monitor your sales velocity on different channels, or just overall sales velocity by product, and start to anticipate what those projected stockouts might be. Now, these stockouts might be the ones that you've predetermined that aren't dynamic, whereas Athena is going to start to recommend, based on this velocity and what your stockout predictions are, Athena's predicting that you actually have less or more inventory. Whether to recommend purchasing more or to stay pat, it's going to start to forecast those stockouts for you dynamically based on your sales velocity. If you have seasonality to your business, it will start to understand that velocity in ways like that. Now, Nick, can you talk a little bit about, from your perspective, some of the dashboards that I mentioned, some of the visibility you were getting from this type of data before and after you had an opportunity to onboard Athena?
Sure. I'll try to be brief on this, but this is really where I found the greatest benefit from ConverSight.ai and Athena. So I apologize if I go a little long. Prior to having ConverSight, the way that we access pretty much all of our data is I would take exports out of Fishbowl. So whether that's a Fishbowl stock report and exporting it as a CSV file, or if I took the data out of the file export and dump all the data, I would have to create custom reports in Excel, and oftentimes merge 3, 4, 5, 6 different exports of data together, creates pretty complex formulas to pull all the data together. And again, our business was growing incredibly fast, as I mentioned earlier. So on a daily basis, I would probably spend 2+ hours every single day crunching numbers, pulling data, creating reports, circulating it to the executive team. And I quickly got to the point where my days were dominated simply in pulling data and crunching numbers. And when, to be blunt, when I met ConverSight and I heard what ConverSight could do, I was incredibly skeptical. Sounded too good to be true. I agreed to entertain the ConverSight team to see what they could do, fully anticipating I'd spend a little bit of time and would dismiss things pretty quickly, because there's no way that we could get something to function as well as what was described. So I have to admit, I was very skeptical and negative going into it. Within probably 4 weeks, we integrated the systems together and started getting automated reports and data out of the system. I was still pretty skeptical. It took another few weeks for me to really go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. And truthfully, I could not believe, one, how quick, how easy, and how intuitive the reporting was and is. It took what I was spending 2+ hours a day pulling information together, and it truly took it down to minutes. It truly changed my capacity. It prevented us from having to expand the team and hire somebody in informatics to pull the information. There's no way that I could get it. There's no way that I could get that information myself and then continue to manage the business as rapidly as we were growing. So when we got the systems integrated together, I would create the reports, and you can create the reports simply by speaking or by typing. And I know I said it earlier, if you can use Google, you can use ConverSight. It truly is amazing. So as I would type normal, normal type language or conversation into ConverSight, it would take what I'm saying, interpret it, understand what I'm meaning, and create the reports for me in seconds. And I mean this when I say this. What used to take me, I could spend 60 minutes creating a report, and it took those 60 minutes down to seconds. And I mean that literally. It just completely revamped our reporting flow. And as I would get the reports that I wanted and needed, I would pin those reports to a dashboard. So Jordan, you have a dashboard pulled up there. I can create different dashboards for different areas of our business, different managers within the business for those KPIs, key metrics that are important to them. So as they come in the morning, whether that's through proactive insights or going with a significant set of data on a dashboard, they literally have everything at their fingertips. And then they can drill into that information. They can export data from that. It has just been an absolute game changer for us. It gave me hours and hours per week back. It helped prevent having to hire somebody just simply for an informatics position. And I would say one of the understated things that gave us the data to make key decisions, not off of our gut, but off of data as we rapidly grew. So it's been an amazing tool. I think it's been an amazing virtual employee for us, and helps us guide our business through data. It's just incredible.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Nick. And we'll get a little bit deeper now into the reporting, but I wanted to pause for just 1 second. Duke asked if you have any examples of how the AI engine has helped you, specific examples I believe he's looking for, if you have any that you can think of off the top of your head.
Yeah, so as primarily on the sales side, that's the easy example I can get. As I go in and I query up sales data, for the first time, I say, show me the year-to-date sales trends for X customer. It'll pull that up for me, and it'll show me graphically or through data what I'm looking to see. And after about the second or third time I ask similar questions, the AI will come in and start creating recommended reports. So it will come up, Athena will come up and say, there's been a 4% erosion in margin customer X. So do you wish to see? And then we click and drill in and see that information down to the part number level or the product level, if you're talking on the sales side. But it will drill in and show you the actual trends that I didn't ask it to show me a trend. I didn't ask Athena to show me margin erosion, but it has learned over time as I create different sales type reports. It'll associate those reports together, and if it recognizes the negative trend, it'll show that to me.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that is a perfect example of ways that we can start to train Athena. And as you were talking, I was starting to pull some questions, quickly asked year-to-date revenue. Then I asked Athena to show that to me by week. And Athena's understanding I'm still talking about revenue. And then one report that we had talked about before, Nick, is the sales order detail that you're mentioning, and being able to get down to the product level when description of that product. A few things that we can do once we're in here, if I'd rather, it's in a table now, but if I want to move it to a pivot, if I want to go ahead and share this with my executive team, Nick, you had mentioned, I can go ahead and ask them to take a look at this, or if it's someone in fulfillment that wants to see these sales order details, share it in that manner. If it's something I'm pulling up every day, Nick mentioned how quickly he was accessing his dashboards. We can pin it and create our own custom dashboard just based on the queries that I'm asking Athena, and start to ask and start to create dashboards in that way as I start to feel more comfortable with how well Athena's understanding my information. Yeah, and I can start to also ask questions like, and Athena, as Nick mentioned, as it started to learn, will understand you. I believe that you meant to ask this. Based on how you're starting to ask questions, this is going to be the way I expected you to ask, give you that answer, and start to give you insights and questions that Nick mentioned he wasn't even thinking about, but Athena is starting to understand where you're going with this and wants to start saying, hey, actually, did you want which customer has the highest revenue for last month? And start to get you deeper into those questions and start to get learn your business and start to ask some of those deeper questions.
Jordan,
It can also
thing,
start to do some comparisons for you. And quickly pull this report that we can start to track and ask questions on. If there is this anomaly here and we want someone, again, we can share this off. But Athena is quickly pulling this report in real time. We can, if we want to switch this off and see it in a different view, we can change views. Again, we can quickly move this into a table or into a pivot table. If I want to play around with this and export it to Excel or in a PDF before sharing, we can go ahead and do that. Nick, any other insights? I know you've mentioned a couple times that you consider Athena like a member of your staff now. Any other insights you can have into how you're interacting in this manner that's really streamlined and helped your efficiency?
I would say one thing that I did not mention earlier is, as we roll this out to multiple people, it's easy for, as you showed on the screen a little bit a few queries ago, as you type a question and Athena comes up and says, "Did you mean this?" So it's easy for one person to learn the exact words to type. But when you roll that out to 5, 6, 10 people, right? How do those people know those exact words? One of the things I think is neat that the AI does is whether I say sales, revenue, right? It recognizes similar terminology, and regardless of what one person versus another might ask, Athena is able to understand the root of what's being asked and interpret that and put that all together in a report. So whether I ask what the monthly sales are, what the monthly revenue was, it'll pull all of that together. So as we rolled it out to our team, it was a very easy adaptation for everyone. I know I see that you pulled up. I don't know if we'll talk about this in more detail later, but the MRP that you have there.
Yeah, we could go into that. I was just starting to pull, like I know inbound pallet report for those in receiving, they can start to anticipate what's going to come in today.
Yeah,
I'm just pulling reports as you talk for them to see, but that's a nice pivot into the MRP that I pulled up. Can you talk a little bit about what your process was before? I know it's sounded like more of an arduous process compared to what Athena's doing for you today.
Yeah, so for everybody that is familiar with Fishbowl, Fishbowl has the auto PO function. So very easily, as you set reorder points and reorder quantities at Fishbowl, you can generate the auto PO and it tells you exactly what to order. So you have a set point of at 20 reorder 120, and you're at 15. Right, it'll tell you exactly what to order. But your vendor might have fixed lot multipliers or min order quantity, or et cetera, that you have. We were spending. We had one person in the purchasing team that was spending the better part of 4 hours every day running the auto PO report and then looking up against vendor minimums, full pallet quantities, and basically turning the auto PO into exactly what our vendors needed to see, and then placing the orders. And we're spending, a good day was 2 hours, an average day was 4 hours, and then obviously we had some days that strung past that at certain times of the month or in the busy season. So in working with ConverSight and creating reports, it allowed me to pull data, and this is one of my favorite features of ConverSight. I can pull data across multiple different modules. And if I have to do that through SQL, that's so difficult for me. I'm not good at that at all, pulling across different modules. But ConverSight and Athena does that seamlessly, and I'm able to pull data from all different fields. And probably, I hope that we can get to the point where I touch on this in more detail. But through the custom fields in every module, I plug in key data that is critical to our business. And ConverSight allows me to pull standard data fields as well as custom data fields, put calculations to it, do automatic rounding, and make recommendations of exactly what I need to order from an MRP standpoint to meet all vendor criteria for full pallet quantities, etc. And not just that, I'm able to set thresholds in my system through the custom field for freight purposes. If I want to maximize my buy with a vendor, it will look at what I need to order from that vendor, and it will look at what will be coming up to order, what's calculated or estimated to be coming up for order over the next week, and give me all of those recommendations together. And what that has done is one, it took from 2 to 4 hours, and now we spend maybe 20 minutes a day on our replenishment buys. And it has cut our freight spend by about 30% on our inbound side, because I'm proactively looking out and grouping, gaining purchases together to maximize my freight piece of it. So I would say, obviously getting the data at our fingertips is probably the single most impacting piece to our business. But this MRP report that we created, this has been a huge, again, time give back to our team and financial give back to our team. It's just been, I could not imagine doing what we do without this MRP report. It gives you all the functionality you could ever imagine. It allowed us to create it. It just gives all the information at our fingertips. Just incredible.
Awesome. And I don't want to go too far off topic, but while you mentioned it, why don't we, you can talk a little bit more about those custom fields and that ability that ConverSight's allowed you to make reports off of those. I believe you were going down that path.
Yeah. So I'll try not to get on a tangent on this if I can, because how impactful custom fields have been to our business. For anybody using Fishbowl, I think that custom fields are probably one of the single most powerful and beneficial fields in the system. It allows you to customize Fishbowl to your business. And probably for the first year of operating within Fishbowl, I didn't fully understand custom fields, and I didn't understand how powerful they could be. It took me probably a year before I started connecting the dots and understanding how important and critical and powerful those fields are. I can create any field, link any field across multiple different modules. And then when we take ConverSight and apply ConverSight to those custom fields, not only can you pull key data that you specify yourself what type of data that is, but you can pull calculations through and start doing some pretty complex analysis with it. And I'm telling you, understanding the power of those custom fields that Fishbowl gives you, and then combining that with ConverSight and the ability to predict, calculate, analyze, it has truly been a game changer for us. So if anybody out there is not familiar with those custom fields, get to know them, because they can truly change your business. And you combine that with ConverSight, and they'll put any bit of data at your fingertips.
Thank you for that follow-up. And following up on the MRP, one thing that we've worked closely with you on, and in our apps portion of the resource, as well as in the control tower, this is where this decision intelligence and the training of Athena comes into play, where Athena will start to recommend your purchase orders. So based on all of those rules that we had seen in the MRP, Athena will start to recommend those purchase orders based on minimum order quantities, all of the different rules, what you have on hand. Can you speak a little bit to this automation that has taken place within your recommended POs?
Yeah, so there's really multiple different layers and levels of automation. So if I'm jumping ahead on anything, just stop me. But
yeah, we'll get to your customers here in a minute. So
really with the recommended purchase orders, we can run our MRP, we can review it on the screen, we can place the orders, and ConverSight will take and pump the orders into Fishbowl. So instead of me taking it and analyzing, looking at and looking at and saying ConverSight did a great job, Athena gave me the perfect recommendation, and then I turn and key everything into the system, right? That would still take me 30 minutes to an hour to key everything in. On certain days, we might have 20, 30 different vendors that we need to purchase from to replenish. order button, it'll send the data directly into Fishbowl and create purchase orders, or as I hope we'll talk about in the future about sales orders, but it eliminates the need for somebody to manually type and create the purchase orders. So what you see in ConverSight, recommendations that you approve in ConverSight, select in ConverSight, it'll pump it through and automatically create those purchase orders in Fishbowl. And it goes in an estimate status. That way you still have you still have the ability to review it and approve it. So there's a safety check there, if you will. But again, it eliminates the need for somebody to manually type and create everything.
Yep. And there are rules that you can put in place, as Nick mentioned. Sometimes even with new employees, you don't want them having full control. So you still have control before placing those orders. You can remove items if you just don't feel like you're ready to order them. So this is just a recommendation, and as you get more comfortable, it can be a complete automation. One of the cool things, Nick, I think the evolution that we've had with you is beyond that is now your customers have an opportunity, and your salespeople have an opportunity to directly place orders. And I'll go ahead and launch that app as well.
Yeah,
I think you wanted to head this way, so
yeah,
I will let you speak to sort of the sales order form that we're talking about here.
So really, this has taken kind of two different legs or two different approaches. We have sales reps in the field who perform a lot of VMI activities, so vendor managed inventory. So our reps go into our customers and they go through the warehouse, they go through the racking, and they create orders. They create orders for the customer. So we manage all that inventory for them. So in the past years, we would go through with simply Excel spreadsheets and go through, and they would have to read the trigger points and the reorder points. They would look at everything on an Excel spreadsheet, on a tablet. They would fill out any information. They would type notes, and then they would email the Excel form to our customer service team. And then the customer service team would take that Excel spreadsheet and then manually key an order in the system, send it to the rep for approval. They would approve it, and then they would issue the sales order. What we've done now is we integrated ConverSight and Athena directly to a sales order form that our reps take into the field. And as I mentioned before, in the custom fields, we have all kinds of rules set up, trigger points and rules, and we have it to where our reps just simply have to go in and they can enter the total on-hand quantity that they see at the vendor. It'll automatically, math will take place. It'll evaluate everything against other rules that we have in the system. And then it will automatically create the replenishment recommendation. Here we go. It'll automatically create the replenishment recommendation. They can review the order and submit it. And when they submit it, it goes directly into Fishbowl. It automatically creates the sales order in an estimate status, allows us to review it. And then obviously we can issue the order. But what Jordan's doing on the screen is the on-hand quantity. This is what they can physically see. And so, for example, the first item, the on-hand quantity of 5, the rule, the 2 columns over, it says VMI ordering rule, it says less than 1, order 2. Obviously, we're above that, so no activity happened. A few cells down, 5 cells down. He entered 50 on hand. The rule is filled at 300. Minimum order quantity is 150, so it'll kick off an order for that. So this took so much activity back and forth out of the system, out of everybody's hands, and truly created an automated form. As I mentioned, we support customers across the nation, especially when COVID hit and things locked down and people were not allowed to go into customers at that point. We quickly pivoted and created a customer sales order form that allows them to do very similar activity to where they simply go in and enter their on-hand quantity, submit it to us. Many customers have requested we hide a lot of data from their team that's entering all the information in. So again, we can customize the look and the feel of the form, but ultimately all the forms work the same way to where as we enter the data and submit it, it automatically comes into Fishbowl, we review it, and then issue the sales order. And our customer service team's involvement is literally seconds. So it knocks the sales order creation time simply down to a review and a one-click issue button. Incredibly powerful. Our customers have loved it. They no longer have to go through and then populate their system with data and trigger a PO. We allow them to do that automatically, send a sales order confirmation to them. And honestly, they will tend to create their purchase orders after the fact to mirror the sales order that we send to them for acknowledgement.
Yeah, I think that was as we trained Athena and worked with you closely. I think once we empowered your customers to be able to interact with it was a big change and a big help across the board when we're empowering customers to do it, not just internally. So awesome. We did have a question come in just asking around some financial insights. This is where this is where Athena has been trained to also understand the financials. So we can be comparing revenue. We can start to look at it by week. If we want to start to look at it by margins, that's simply like Nick had alliterated to. It's just like if you can use Google, you can use this. If you just start to ask those questions, if I want to ask maybe top 10 vendors by spend, and Athena will start to pull that. Athena is starting to learn what we're looking for and can pull these reports simply by asking a question. So if you want to dig into your margin percentage or your revenue, or you want to compare revenue, or you want to dig into spend down to a product level, even within the control tower, you can start to understand high performing products by revenue. We can start to build this out and simply ask Athena questions on financials, similar to, I know Nick's mostly in operations, so we stuck to that regard, but I did want to touch on the financial side of things can have the same access and has employed Athena in the same way to just ask those types of questions and quickly pull those reports in a digestible way that you feel comfortable looking at it. Again, we can move it quickly into a table. I'll show that again in that regard. So thank you for that question. Hope that helped. We can dig deeper in if that's more your purview is the financials. We can dig deeper into that side on a separate call if you'd like to take one moving forward. I know we have about 10 minutes left. So Nick, I just wanted to wrap up a little bit with you and then share with everyone if ConverSight is something they want to explore, how they can go ahead and do that. But wanted to touch with you a little bit on, as you've mentioned a few times, that Athena is part of the team, but Athena is part of the team that can help in multiple areas. So if you could maybe start with your operations side and high level some of the ways it's helped, and then we can go sort of counterclockwise and discuss some of the other departments that it's touched over the implementation period.
Sure. Well, from an operations standpoint, I'll start with our warehouse team from a shipping, inventory, receiving standpoint, and our warehouse manager. It has put all the information at their fingertips. And one of the most common things that you hear on the warehousing side is we're full, we're at capacity, we can't handle any more inbound product. Through reports that we've created, we've done warehouse capacity analysis. So at the click of a button, if we hear, man, we're full, we look at it and say there's 23% open capacity. We've gone so far as to have reports that show less than full pallet quantities throughout the warehouse and make recommendations to locations to combine together into one pallet to free up warehouse space and free up capacity. So truly on a functional basis, we use it for warehouse capacity modeling and recommendations, for inbound volume comparisons and outbound volume comparisons. That helps us really at a transactional level. That's what's going to drive the need to hire and add people to the team. So we can see trends as our inbound and outbound activity increase. We can evaluate, is that seasonal or is that truly a year-over-year increase that is indicating that we're heading towards needing to expand our capacity from a personnel standpoint. So we use it to help from a human capacity standpoint. From a replenishment standpoint, I walked through all the different MRP functionality. It can, from a buying standpoint, we also tie into any adjustments that are made or scrap transactions that are made to instantly send an email to our buyer if an adjustment or a scrap transaction is made in our system. That way, we don't even have to wait until the next day, because sometimes the next day makes a huge difference if a large adjustment has been made and you run out of parts. So we send an automated email if adjustments are made in the system. So from a buying standpoint, it's impacted us. From a customer service aspect, we had at $3 million in sales, we had 3 customer service folks. At $21.5 million, we have 3. So and we've only been able to maintain such a low customer service headcount through the automation that ConverSight has provided for us. And then from a sales standpoint, I know we didn't really touch on this. At one point in time, Jordan, you showed on the screen how you pulled up ConverSight on your phone. As our sales folks are sitting in front of customers, the customers ask questions. Never do we have to call or text or email back to the customer service team to get information or to somebody to get a report. They could simply go into ConverSight on their phone and they can speak it. They've done it multiple times right in front of the customer, and Athena verbally gives you the answer back real time right in front of the customer. Because that blows most people away to see instant question and instant answer verbally and less. So whether that's checking on stock levels, whether it's checking on sales order status, whether it's checking on past order volume, it's all right there at the fingertips for the sales team. And then at an executive level, to provide high-level company summary, high-level analytics to where the business is going, obviously what the business has done, but it really has touched every single department in our company. It's made us better, made us a lot more efficient, and it's armed us with the data to make the right decisions.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think you throughout had mentioned it. I just wanted to bring it all together to the different groups. I know even from an executive level, just not getting questions from them, you can create those dashboards quickly for them to get visibility and get those questions answered whenever they need it instead of. We did have a question from Sean. He said, his company operates multiple brands, which are designated by class in Fishbowl. Would this system allow us to break details down by class to track individual sales and revenue? And, yes, we can. When I initially showed the power of Athena and what we do, we would be able to do that in the segmentation period where we'll be able to narrow it down by class and train Athena to track on an individual level down to that class or brand for sales and revenue. So we'd be happy to show you more specifically how we do that, but it is possible within our platform.
Yeah, Jordan, for whomever asked the question, we do that currently. We use class as kind of a key differentiator for different activities within the business, and ConverSight works flawlessly to pull that together, give summaries by class, detailed information by class. So it's a very easy and basic element for ConverSight.
Thank you. Answered it better than I could have in real life. Appreciate that. Nick, any last thoughts, or else I'm going to wrap up as we have 5 minutes left, but any closing remarks from your perspective on just your experience with Fishbowl and ConverSight jointly together and the impact it's had?
Yeah, I'll close with one last thing. I tend to be really skeptical. And like I mentioned earlier, I truly thought ConverSight was too good to be true. And if that was possible, I figured it would take months, if not a year plus, to integrate into the system. And probably the single biggest shocking factor to me was how seamless and how quick and how painless it was to integrate ConverSight with Fishbowl. And keep in mind, I was the first one. So that was in 2018. So if there's anybody out there that's skeptical of, can this thing really do what these people are saying it can? I'm living proof that it can. And it blew me away how easy and how intuitive ConverSight is to use. And again, it takes an incredible Fishbowl system that's already awesome and it just supercharges it. So whether that's through enhanced functionality or detailed data analytics, it truly has changed our business.
Thank you for that, Nick. And it's been a fun journey with you. I think being the first Fishbowl customer, it's allowed us to continue to become domain experts, not only in supply chain, but in Fishbowl, and be able to bring this quickly to additional customers. So we really appreciate the partnership we've formed and look forward to continuing to see you guys maintain fastest growing company in Indianapolis. It excites us to be growing with you guys. So thank you for that.
Let's see if we can do it again. Thank you, guys.
The way that we're offering this, we're very excited about this partnership that we're running. And this is our full first quarter as an official partner of Athena, or of Fishbowl, excuse me. We are offering this month, if you sign up and join us before the end of the month for joining this webinar, we will not charge any implementation to integrate. In addition, we know that even hearing Nick, we might have some skeptics out there. We want to prove that value. We want to prove that this does what it can do, that it fits your business and the workflows that you want to see it fill. So we are offering this as no obligation for the next 45 days. So whenever you get started through the end of April would be complete access. We'll connect to your data and you'll get access to our platform. If at that time you decide it is the right fit, your first bill would not be due until May. And this again is to give you an opportunity to see your data within our platform and start to see the power of Athena and what it can do for your business. We do ask in that pilot that you give us an hour or two, a few hours to validate the reporting, train Athena with us a little bit so that we can quickly onboard Athena. If you'd like to book a follow-up discussion, there should be a link in the chat to book with me. We want to make this implementation as easy as possible. All we would need from you is a few pieces of technical information around your Fishbowl database. And from there, we can go ahead and have an onboarding session with you in about 5 to 7 days, and you can get running with this for your free pilot through the end of April. Whenever you feel like you're ready, we'd love to prove that to you in that pilot period. Or if you'd like to contact me directly, this is all of my contact information. I'll leave this here if you want to record it, or if you want to put your contact information in the chat and you want a quick follow-up, feel free. This is my email and cell phone number. We appreciate all of your time. I know we're right at an hour. Appreciate everyone joining. Appreciate Sean and Fishbowl for the partnership, and look forward to growing it. Again, Nick, thank you for your time.